Okay, oh, I need to put on. Apologies for the messy apartment. Unfortunately, we are actually moving out of this building that we've been in for 6 years here in New York City next month, and we need all the boxes and packing stuff that we can get. So this scenery is unfortunately not going to be around for much longer, but luckily I record most of my videos outside. Now we'll still be in like the New York City area. We're actually probably moving over to Jersey to try and start saving to start a family. So yeah, life's moving quick, and this next month is going to be really interesting with LCS finals and everything else going on. But you're here for 100 Thieves fan content. I won't bore you too much with my life. I will say, though, thank you to the 950 of you that are subscribed to my channel. If you're not subscribed already, which I know 92% of the people that watch my videos are not, be sure to subscribe down below. You're going to get 4 videos a week, every single week from me. With Team Liquid's loss against NRG yesterday, we now know our matchup going into the first round of the losers bracket of the LCS Championship 2023. It is against our old rival, Team Liquid. And for those that say that, oh, you know, there are no modern rivalries in esports, I would generally agree in League of Legends specifically, but I will say, at least for me, as a 100 Thieves fan, TL is kind of that org that there is that budding rivalry for. As Zale notably said back in 2021 prior to us facing Team Liquid in the playoffs, you know, is that, like, do 100 Thieves fans really care that they got blown out in 2018? Yes, we absolutely do. Now let me walk you through the history of Team Liquid versus 100 Thieves. 100 Thieves makes their introduction into League of Legends in 2018 whenever franchising begins. At the time, I'm an Optic fan, but yes, I'm still following 100 Thieves and hoping they do well, because 100 Thieves versus Optic rivalry is good for everybody. The problem was Team Liquid was really damn good. 100 Thieves notably getting stomped 3-0 in the finals to Team Liquid in one of the fastest 3-0s in LCS. Actually, I think this might still be the fastest series in LCS history. Brutal start to the year. Come summer, we face up against TL again, lose 3-1. This is back in the era where it was just single elimination, so we were out of playoffs. That was still the year that 100 Thieves did go to Worlds, notably with Rikara subbing in for Cody-san. It was a weird time, even watching as an Optic fan at the time, just like, well, dude, why are you starting Rikara? Whatever. 2019 was not a good year for 100 Thieves fans. You didn't make playoffs whatsoever, as in fact my one final memory from Optic in the LCS was knocking out 100 Thieves in the tiebreaker to prevent them from getting into playoffs. Optic then got beat 3-0 by CLG immediately afterwards, and it's not like 100 Thieves would have done anything better anyways, and TL was a whole different animal, but this is about 100 Thieves versus TL. 2020, different roster for 100 Thieves. Never faced up against Team Liquid though. 2 straight years, no matchups against each other. 2021 though is where things get interesting. This is the closer FBI Someday Abadage roster in the summer split of 2021, where we faced up against TL in the winners bracket finals and narrowly lost 3-2. But it was one of those games and series where it's like, okay, we could have beaten TL finally. We can finally get that chip off our shoulders, and the question is, can we do it again later in time? And you best believe we did. Three 100 Thieves, LCS champions, beating Team Liquid of all teams, finally getting that like full monkey off the back moment just felt amazing. Now, fast forward since then, unironically, we have not lost a best of 5 series against Team Liquid since winning the LCS. We faced Team Liquid last year in playoffs twice, once in spring, once in summer, beating them 3-2 both times. Now, notably, this was like the Bwipo Hansama roster of TL, the quote super team that kind of fizzled out and missed Worlds. We were one of the reasons why they weren't able to make it to Worlds, which is a really good feeling, which leads us into this year where we have not played TL in a best of 5. They missed playoffs in spring, and we obviously just lost to Golden Guardians, I think Cloud9 in the upper bracket. So this is going to be the first matchup in 2023 between the two of us, and what is, over the last few years, a very close series almost every time barring that finals. It's been 3-2 literally every time. And by all means, I have respect for Team Liquid as an organization. Their venture capitalist back Axiomatic group is actually pretty good. Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, and a bunch of other obviously rich people. And yes, they've overspent over the past few years, but they've also had the capital to do it. Like, I'm fine with there being a Yankees so long as you have other types of rosters and groups of people to then offset that. Like, I like that budding rivalry. And in a world where TL has continued to just build and be one of these big brands in League of Legends and in gaming as a whole, and 100 Thieves is right up there rivaling them with game development, with good sponsorships, good partnerships. Yes, we're cutting back to try and get break even, but we're also not unlimited venture capitalist backed like TL appears to be, where like even last year they said they were going to cut their budgets and try to get more sustainable, and then they still buy out Piosic. So I don't know. Again, Yankees versus literally any other budget or like Moneyball org to a certain extent, even though we still have the hype factor with us, and TL, you know, they're the one other org that has decent merch. So yes, for me, this is a rivalry game. This is probably the biggest rivalry match that we will have all playoffs. I don't care if we go on to face NRG after this, Cloud9, TS, like none of them really make as big of an impact. Like it's not even about winning. It's just that I don't want to lose to Team Liquid more than any other team in the LCS, barring maybe Golden Guardians, but that's a pride thing. So let's look at this matchup lane by lane. Starting in the top lane with Summit versus Someday. There is no denying Summit is one of the best top laners, if not the best, in the LCS right now. He single-handedly can carry games, as is literally what happened yesterday against NRG. My man was putting up numbers, while unfortunately for him, the rookies around him kind of collapsed. And he's going to be the clear win con for TL, at least in my eyes, going into the series, assuming that APA and Young can't kind of turn it around a bit and the team can't play a little bit more together. Someday hasn't honestly had his greatest split in the world, but if there's one thing that we've seen before, it's that Someday knows how to shut down carry top laners. He's done it historically, notably against Summit himself. Granted, this is back whenever like C9 was having their whole internal issues and Summit kind of just like quickly fell off a cliff, but like we were one of the reasons why he very quickly fell off said cliff. We just literally picked Malphite into him and he couldn't do anything. Like he kept trying to push, but like Someday did a good job of clearing waves, shutting them down, and then just neutralizing everybody in team fights. So yes, honestly, Summit has 100% advantage in this matchup, no denying that. But the nature of Someday's play benefits him, and the fact that Aatrox is now back in the meta is a blessing for us. Someday is really, really good at Aatrox. I'd argue one of the best Aatrox in the league, if not the best. It's a champion that I know Summit specifically doesn't play all that often, but it is something that if they're not going to ban it, we should be more than happy to take it and just drain tank in the front line, just like Someday likes doing. As long as he doesn't go in too early and our timing is okay, I have a really good feeling about this matchup. Closer versus Piosic. Oh man. It's not like Piosic's playing incredibly well either. Like he's playing solid in summer specifically, especially as APA's come in and they've kind of changed up the synergy a little bit, and Piosic also goes towards top lane a little bit more. It seems like he's found his footing a little bit more. He's not giving up these egregious smite fights as much. Like he's more or less back. Closer, on the other hand, is like people were debating in whether he's in contention with Kenvi for worst jungler in the LCS. And I can't disagree with that. I mean, I've had my fair share of criticisms. I'm not going to go into everything again, but we did see one sign of life this past week versus NRG, but then he, didn't really do much either against Dignitas in both of those games, nor Cloud9. Well, the Cloud9 game was actually kind of close. But regardless, Closer is my X factor of this series. If he shows up, we honestly stand a chance to win. If he doesn't show up, we're in big trouble. It's as simple as that. Because I think Closer is going to be the enabler for other lanes. It's not like I think Piosic or Closer are going to be the reasons why this series has won in terms of like their carry performances, but I do think it is going to be the reason why we win or lose this series if they're not enabling the right laners, not protecting them, and not just playing this, quite honestly, a little bit more supportive style. Or maybe, I don't know, in our week off, we finally decide to say screw it and give Closer any carry jungler that we can and play through him. I don't know. Like, just whatever we got to do to activate this man and get him into playoffs mode, finally, just do it. I don't care what it is. Quid versus APA. To APA's parents, if they're watching this for whatever reason, I know they follow me on Twitter and we interacted yesterday during the series. Hey, happy for your son that he's in the LCS. One small problem, and I know hopefully you won't take offense to this because you're adults, you understand smack talk, all that. his mental needs work. Like 100%. We saw yesterday after the win against NRG, the one win they had in that series, and my dude was going through it. That to me is a weakness point for him. You see him talking shit in all chat, which is fine. I love that. But clearly, when things don't go his way, if he gets soloed or if he can't really get these advantages, it will take a toll on him. So that is a clear advantage point in my mind. If I'm Quid, who has slowly been getting better as time has gone on the split, yes, there are still some moments where he ints, and look, he's a young player and a rookie. He's developing, but I've seen good signs coming up slowly but surely. If we can just get some advantages on APA and then start talking shit, peep over the monitor, do a little wave, like try and get his attention, yell at him, like anything like get in his head. Because I promise you, if you can psych him out, we saw what happened. He becomes irrelevant in this fight. He's a young player. His mental will get the best of him, and I expect that to change as time goes on. But now when he's a rookie is when you take advantage of that. You press the wound as hard as you can. So yes, I think Quid versus APA is like the weaker matchup of any lane in this series, but whoever gets the better of it, and quite frankly, whoever doesn't lose it for their team, is going to ultimately be the victor. Doublelift versus Yawn. Yawn is actually the best laner in the LCS, at least during the regular season, and has the stats to back that up and prove it. Doublelift is literally only second to Yawn, and Yawn never got camped, which again speaks more to how we play, because it's just funnel all resources into the Doublelift, whereas Yawn just picks a favorable lane matchup but isn't expected to carry the entire fight and team win the entire game. But I honestly don't think the series is oddly enough going to be won via Doublelift or Yawn. Like I have full faith in both of these players to carry their teams if it was just a front to back versus front to back team fight. And I think it would be a lot of fun to watch that. But it just seems like with both of these teams, somebody goes in and ints prior to that, which doesn't allow them to like fully carry in the late game in the traditional or like LPL sense of the word. So I'm curious to see what happens here. I think this is a very even matchup. Like all things considered, it is just dead even. Both are good laners, both are good team fighters, all things considered. I'm repeating myself a lot today with words like honestly, in reality, all things considered. I really need to work on that, and I'm sorry. But yeah, clear win cons for both teams. If you invest resources into them, they can carry it for you. Just the question is whether the supporting cast will stay up around you. For Busio, Core JJ, had you asked me 24 hours ago, I would have said, yeah, this is heavily Core JJ favored. I voted for him second for All Pro. I just think he is one of the better support players in the LCS in a role that's been relatively weak, all split, if we're being honest. But after watching them play yesterday versus NRG, Core JJ looked not great, if we're being honest. The set pick was interesting, but it was very predictable and readable based on what they were spamming in solo queue. The Leona that he played was not good. I think this is a little bit more even than you would think. Both of these supports probably want to play engaged style champions. I think that's what best fits their individual play style. Now the question is, will Busio be allowed to do that if Doublelift's playing somebody that needs an enchanter or, is just going like that super hyper carry role? Who knows? I don't think Nautilus is the play, to be clear, but I do think like a Blitzcrank would be good. I think Rakan is a obvious answer here. It notably got banned out pretty much all series versus Team Liquid yesterday, and could be a very contested pick in our series versus them, but who knows? Overall, like this matchup now feels a lot more even than it did about 12 hours ago, which is why if I'm giving my honest prediction, I know I'm biased and I know you're going to roll your eyes, but yes, I do think that 100 Thieves is actually going to win this series 3-2. I got to go 5 games because that's what every other matchup in this series has gone regardless of the roster iteration. So yeah, 3-2, 100 Thieves, and I'm not ready to sweat because I'll actually be at a bar watching this. Celebrate my birthday at the same time. One final thing I will say is that I think there are some bans that we do need to target that NRG did a good job of recognizing, and that is specifically Rumble and Ziggs. We don't really play Rumble ever. I don't think it's a someday champion, and if Summit is known to carry on this, I'm perfectly fine with getting it out of his hands, and the same thing for Ziggs. I don't think we have a single player on our roster that is a good Ziggs player. Just get it going, get it out of the way, get APA off comfort, and go from there. Those are the only two things that I would assume that we are probably going to remain pretty consistent on. And then just, again, protect Doublelift and hope to God that Closer steps up and carries. Let Quid be a supportive mid laner if he needs to be, because as of right now, Closer just can't play like anything that's going to support like the Quid hyper carry. That's not saying the Quid won't ever be able to hyper carry, but now's not the time to try and sit here and find out when we have when we are 3 losses away from our season being done. So yes, very big week, rivalry week for us. Can we do it? I don't know. I'm nervous. I'm excited nevertheless. I hope you all are too. See you on Friday at 5 o'clock for the game, and I'll have TFC up the next day afterwards. Hopefully we can pull off this dub and just start our run in playoffs. But this is going to be a really good litmus test for how high our ceiling could potentially be. If we really struggle on this one, oh boy. But I've got the faith.